Hey guys, it's Chris here with this week's creative class, and I know you have all been waiting with bated breath for another 4-sheet wonder. It's actually been a long time when I actually went back and looked at how long it's been. So this is 4-sheet wonder 11th edition, and I was very purposeful when I designed this one. So I'm going to do like quite a bit of talking at the beginning about the purpose behind my designing this one. I always strive, right, with 4-sheet wonder to make it a super versatile class so that you could alter it for lots of different things, because really you're just taking a cutting pattern for 4 pieces of paper and turning them into 6 cards. But like I said, I was very purposeful when I designed this one. So I'm going to add my desk in here. I'm going to talk you through some of the things that went through my mind, some of the really easy ways that you could adapt this for something else. And we're going to have fun assembling a set of them. Okay. Okay. So I knew I wanted to do something with the festive friends. They're just super cute. How can you not like those little chunky kind of guys? So this was the stamp set I picked, and quite often I think I could say I start with the stamp set before I start a 4-sheet wonder, because really that's my favorite part of this. Anyway, so you will see we've got 6 cards here, okay? And when I designed it, you're going to see in the guide. So let's just back up and we'll finish the supply list for this set of cards, okay? So I obviously used Festive Friends. Then I used the 12 by 12 Traditions of Christmas paper pack. I'm going to show you the 4 sheets that I used, okay? So it's all on the cutting guide too, so you don't really need to listen to me. If you want to fast forward through this part, totally feel free. But I just wanted to kind of explain some of the thought process behind it. You're going to notice with Traditions of Christmas, the A and the B sides have a very different feel to them, right? So this is the specialty side with the gold accent. So you could use this side and then pick like the coordinating stamp set that goes with this collection. That's one option for this 4-sheet wonder, right? You could like mix and match the florals with some of the B sides, and like I said, use the coordinating stamp set to create a different version of these exact same cards, right? So, but when I designed this one, I very purposefully only used one side of the paper. And that was because I wanted you to easily be able to adapt this cutting guide for lots of different things. So, for example, if you happen to have one-sided paper in your stash, you could use it by just pulling 4 coordinating colors, right? Or let's just say you only had let's just say these two decorative pieces of paper you really liked, and that's what you wanted to use for your 4-sheet wonder. By just using the one side of cardstock, of the paper, the designer series paper, it invites you to be able to swap out certain pieces for just a plain piece of cardstock, right? So you could add just a piece of cherry cobbler and a piece of old olive. Sorry, I'm just going to mute because I'm going to sneeze. Oops, sorry about that. So you could very easily swap out your papers and add to it with cardstock. Or the other thought that I actually had was you could actually just use 4 pieces of cardstock to create this workshop if you wanted. You could pick a 4-color combination that you really like. Let's just say you're not using the Festive Friends, a completely different stamp set, right? Like let's say it was a floral. You could pick 4 coordinating colors that you really like, that you want to color your images with, etc. And just pick 4 pieces of coordinating cardstock, or like 1 piece of specialty paper and 3 pieces of cardstock. You kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. But that is one of the reasons that I was very, very purposeful with this 4-sheet wonder. So you're going to see, right, you've got the standard inspiration sheet. I'm going to talk about these in a second. But then you've got your cutting guide, right? So very easy to adapt. You will see there's no reverse side on any of these pieces of paper. If you want to reverse side, like I said, go ahead and reverse the side. But I was very purposeful, and that is why you don't see any reverse side. I thought I would just explain that at the beginning so that you can kind of see some of the other opportunities that you have with this 4-sheet wonder in particular, right? You could also take one of the pieces, if you were going to use, like, let's say 4 pieces of cardstock or 1 piece of decorative paper, and then maybe a piece of cardstock that's embossed, and then 2 coordinating cardstocks, right? So you've got a lot of options for different kind of ways to put this one in particular together. So that's what I wanted to start with. I'm going to show you each of these cards, and I'm going to talk to you about the technique that I decided to use for this set, because I'm actually going to assemble a second set. I'll talk about that in a second. But I also purposefully took each of the characters and I put them on 2 cards each, right? So you don't have 6 cards that have Santa on them. But if you want 6 cards with Santa, then just swap out your image and do Santa on all of them. Okay, so for each of the cards, you're going to see on your sheet, there is also your picture, right? And then it said, I actually listed the elements. So this says Santa. So this is card number 1. So there's a Santa, a tag in the background, a tall tree, a label, and a snowflake. Then, right, for card number 2, there's an elf, a tag, a wide tree, a label, a snowflake. So each of these clusters are actually built up with exactly the same elements, just the wide tree versus fat tree, in each of the clusters. I'm going to show you what I did to create my wide tree and my, what do I call it? Thin tree, tall tree, and wide tree. Because it is a fun technique that you can use in lots of different ways on different projects. But I'm not going to do it in the second set because I'm going to actually show you like another thing that you could do. But so each of these has all of the elements. Okay. So that's that. Okay. So then I'm going to talk about the technique. So for the snowflakes, as well as the wide tree or the tall tree, I played with my blends. Because sometimes you might not have all the colors of cardstock, or you might not have that color of cardstock to coordinate with a certain paper pack when it comes time to create. So basically what I did was I created my own paper. So for the trees, and this is like a scribbly technique. It's supposed to be messy, because part of one of the ways that the blends work, or like your old alcohol markers, like whatever you're using, the alcohol blends the colors. So literally, you can see here, I've just scribbled with the light and the darks and let it blend together. If I thought it needed more of something else, I added that back in. So this is the old olive. That's what I did for the trees. I'm going to show them to you in a second. And then for all the snowflakes, I did scribbly pool party, right? And on the snowflakes, it's awesome too, right? Because no snowflake would ever be like the same. And you get kind of the different variations. So here you can see up close how the scribbly trees turn out, right? So there's a tall tree, right? And a wide tree. You can add more after also. So I did my scribbly coloring and then I cranked it out of the die cutting machine. And if I felt that it needed more blending or a little bit more of a certain color, you could totally add that in. And then, of course, if you need Wink of Stella, you can add that also in. So I wanted to actually show you all the parts of this, because now, like I said, when I do my next set, I'm going to use a different piece, a different collection. And so I'm going to use cardstock and specialty paper for these pieces, because really what I also wanted it to be is kind of show you how they can be adapted so easily to suit your purposes, right? Like, not only can you just switch out the paper, you could just switch it out for cardstock. You could pick a different stamp set. If you don't need Christmas cards, then make something else, right? That's why I love 4-sheet wonders. I know you guys really like them, and because it's also a very good use of a very small amount of paper. I did color all the images with my blends, and the list of blends is on the inspiration sheet. And I did all my stamping with Secret C. Just because I happen to be in love with Secret C right now. It's a nice dark color for stamping. It coordinated with this paper pack. All my guys were stamped in Memento, right? Because I was going to color them. Oh, the only other thing I wanted to talk to you about, because I am going to switch it out in the second set too, is each of the tags. So for each tag, I did, and I'm going to do the same thing. It's just going to be slightly different in the second set. So they're all basic white, and then I added ink distressing and pool party around the outside, and then I used the snowflake stamp set, and I stamped a couple of snowflakes in the background, and then I splattered them with Wink of Stella. So, and every single tag is exactly the same. Like, the snowflakes might not necessarily be in exactly the same spot, but the technique is basically the same. They're just slightly different. And then for this one, the embellishment that I used was the traditional sparkling sequins, and they're flat, right? So they're like glimmer paper that's hole punched with adhesive on the back. So that's what I used for these ones. Like I said, because I'm switching it up, and I actually was going to just cut my second set, and then I thought, oh, well, there's another way this class could go where I could show you the versatility and what you can actually do with a 4-sheet wonder, specifically using this one to show you. But it works with all of them. Some of them are a little bit easier than others, right? But like I said, because I picked the same components to be on each card, you could very easily switch it out for another stamp set, right? So let's just go with a floral, right? So I would just pick a different die to put in the background of my floral image. And then I could pick a floral, a sentiment, and then I'm off to the races, right? And it would be using, obviously, the cutting guide as your backdrop. For these guys, I'm just going to quickly go through the colors for each card, because my color palette is slightly different for the second set. It's still a Christmas color palette, but I'm going to swap out how I'm going to color the guys. I did color 3 guys, like, so the bottom set beforehand, but I'm going to color 3 of them with you, but you'll kind of get the idea. But I just wanted to talk you through the difference, right here, so that if you want to color them exactly the same, obviously the colors are listed, but I'll just walk you through which is which, because sometimes that can be hard, like the little distinction can be hard to see in photographs. So this Santa, he is cherry cobbler, and then gray granite is all of his shadows, etc. And then there's Wink of Stella on him. So for this little elf, he's gray granite. His hair is gray granite. Oh, and this guy's face is petal pink. All the faces that are human are petal pink. His hair is gray granite. This is real red and old olive, and then secret sea for him. The snowman is, his shadows are all in pool party. Then his hat is real red and old olive. And then his scarf is real red. This Santa is real red versus the cherry cobbler. And I don't know if you could see the distinction on camera. But like I said, I just want to kind of give you a couple of different versions. Maybe you don't have a cherry cobbler marker. It's okay to color him real red, right? So this snowman is pool party, cherry cobbler, and secret sea. And then this elf is the gray granite are his shoes. His face is petal pink. He's cherry cobbler and old olive. And then there's Wink of Stella on everything, just so that you realize that beforehand. Okay, so then my next class this month also features the Christmas tags and more paper. And so I thought, well, I'll do my second set with it so that if you happen to have this paper, you're at least going to get 2 classes with a kind of the same paper in it. So, and I wanted it to also to be very specific to just use the one side of the paper. So the pieces that I chose for my 4 patterns are, we're going to use the B side of this. And then I have this piece and this piece and this piece. But let me just confirm that that is actually, yes, that's what I did. So these are the 4 pieces that I used in place of the traditions of Christmas papers, right? So you can see here, there's a lot of greens going on. And so I'm going to show you the few things that I'm going to do to alter it. So the first thing, like I said, these are my 4 pieces. I'm just going to move them out of the way. So when I looked at the 4 pieces, I decided, right, we're going to have the same characters, right? But then for my background, I thought we'll bring in some crumb cake. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing on my crumb cake as this basic white. And then for the trees, I just cut them out with cardstock, right? So if you don't want to teach this technique or you want to do that technique, you can always just swap it out for cardstock. So I've got garden green cardstock. And then also, if you wanted to make it faster and not do the snowflake, but like in real life, they are very pretty. I'm going to use gold foil paper for my snowflakes. So, and then the embellishment, I'm going to use the loose sequins as my embellishment. And then I kept my sentiment pieces in the basic white. And the only other thing that I did was I did bring in a couple of extra colors to coordinate the paper pack more. Because like I said, it's a lot of greens. But so I have my crumb cake marker also, and then soft sea foam. I added those two colors in because they coordinate with the other paper pack. Okay, so now I'm going to, for the first three, I'll actually color them and assemble them. And then the last three, I'm going to just use these guys that are already colored, and we're going to assemble them. The cutting guide will walk you through cutting all the pieces of paper. Okay, so here we go. So I've got to try and keep them in order. And I just need to actually get these ones in order because they are literally just in a stack. And I think I was pulling out backwards. So I'm just going to pause it. I'm going to put my envelopes in order and then we'll get started. Okay, now I have them in order. I normally slip them into the other card, but I want to make sure that I'm going in the correct order as to how you're seeing the card. So here we go, right? Card number 1. So my first step will be to adhere my pieces, except for these two little skinny pieces that are for my tag. Right, and the fun thing too about the fact that I created it all one-sided is it makes it much easier if you decide that you actually wanted to flip something over. To play around with the patterns or use little scraps to fill it in, right? Okay, so now, right, I know I need one Santa, one skinny tree, right, by looking at my directions here. I need a Santa. I need a tag. I need a tall tree. And I need a label. And I need a snowflake. So I will very quickly color my Santa. Like I said, any parts of this you want to fast forward through, totally feel free to. And this is why, for example, I colored already one set of the little guys because they will be the same. So this is just my petal pink. This is the gray granite. I missed an ear. You can't have him not have a colored ear. And then for this one, he is cherry cobbler. So I'm going to do him cherry cobbler too. My other one, I think I did in oh no, okay. So the other one I already colored, I did in cherry cobbler. So we're going to do this guy real red. Just so that I'll have two of each. Not two of each, one of each. Cherry cobbler and real red. So this is just the light real red. And then just some dark, just to bring a little bit of life to everything. And then just a little bit of the gray on his belt. Okay, so then I added Winkostella to his pom-pom, the top of his hat, or the brim of his hat, and then his belt. Okay, so we have our Santa done. Now, like I said, I'm going to do the little tag the same way I did the other ones, just they're crumb cake and not basic white. Okay, and then I have my snowflake. So this same thing, I'll do the same on every tag. I'm just going to put a piece of copy paper down so that I don't have to keep cleaning the same spot. Just so I don't get my hand in it every single time I put my hand down. So then these little tiny pieces, you'll see them on the cutting guide. And I just use them to make the tag ties. You could also tie them with twine. It's totally up to you. So I'm going to add my tag. One goes in behind and one goes on front. Actually, I could have just done this. This would have made more sense because you guys could still actually see things. So this is the plaid on the background, right? But because I have the ability to play with the reverse sides, if I want, I can do the plaid one. right? And because my tag is crumb cake, I kind of like that. So these are just faux tags. So I just tucked one in the back and then one here on the front through the little hole. And if you feel like you want it shorter, feel free to actually cut part of it off, right? So that they're not the same exact size, right? So I could tuck that in farther or leave it out farther. Okay, we're going to add our Santa on with dimensionals. Oh, and I have to stamp my sentiment. Well, we'll finish assembling and then we'll do our sentiment. Okay, so I have my snowflake, and I actually happened to just grab a piece of foil paper that already had an adhesive sheet on the back. So, right, this is our technique one, and then that's how I switched it out. Our Santa. My tree. Well, so all the ones that with the Santas on them, I did use the Santa Claus is coming to town because I just thought that was stinking cute. And then the other ones say, we wish you a Merry Christmas. And then, like I said, the embellishment I picked for this one was the loose gold sequins because I love a good gold sequin. And I think that that embellishment gives you so much bang for your buck. So I do like to adhere mine with a glue dot. Okay, so there we go. There are your two versions of card number one. Now we've got card number two. We did the same little tie at the top. So I have my pieces. I'll start with my pieces. right? And if you wanted to do this one, you could totally, if you like the plaid better, switch it over on the other side. Okay, so now we need an elf, right? We need a tag. We need a wide tree. We need a label. And we need a snowflake. Okay, so we're going to stamp the sentiment first so I don't forget this time. So on this one, we're going to do the other one that says, "We wish you a Merry Christmas." We'll do our tag with the distressed crumb cake. This one I don't. Oh no, I do. Sorry. I'm thinking I don't see the snowflakes, but they're just very subtle in the background, but they are there. So okay, so then we will color our little elf. So for his skin, I will do the petal pink. So his ears and his hands and his face. So that's the light, and I'll just add in a little bit of the dark. Then I'll do his hair with the crumb cake. I think we'll do some soft sea foam on this guy. So this is light. And some dark. I'm going to do some gray for his shoes. on his button. And then I think I will do real red. I just wanted to also make him like different than the second one a little bit. So I'll tell you the colors that I used on the other guy when we get to the second card with the elf. This guy looks like he's wearing his Christmas pajamas. Okay, and then I'm still going to use a Wink of Stella. I'll probably just use it on just my reds to draw attention to them. You can also splatter this piece with Wink of Stella if you wanted, for a little bit of sparkle in the background. Okay, so I'll adhere my tag first. I'm not tapping down on the top. Now I will adhere my little ties. So one behind. And one in the front. So let's add our tree. The little elf I will add on dimensionals. There we go. He's cute in the soft seafoam. But like I said, it does remind me of like Santa pajamas. Like your Christmas pajamas, you know, that my kids always, and they still do on Christmas Eve, get a new pair of pajamas. Everybody does. Okay, and then my sentiment. And our sequins. I probably should have said this at the beginning too, but you guys know everything's already uploaded and ready to go for you. So like lots of people will not need this part of my instruction. So feel free to just like jump on over to the Google Drive and start cutting up your paper. So there is card number 2. Super cute. And then now here's the snowman, and we'll color him and do our second version. So I will assemble first. Okay, so this piece goes underneath our sentiment, so I'm just going to leave it for a second. So we need a snowman, and we need a label, and we need a wide tree, and a snowflake, and a tag. I also think the two like color combinations give you a completely different feel. Like this one is more like not like a woodsy, subtler Christmas, versus this one is like that traditional Christmas red and green, right? So that's why I also wanted to kind of pick two different collections. So for this one, I'm actually going to put my little hole in the bottom, and it actually gets covered up. So we're going to color our snowman in one moment. So for this snowman, so like I said, I did the shading on this snowman with the pool party, but this one I'm just going to do the gray. And okay, so what we will do, let's do his scarf cherry cobbler this time, because you'll see my other one is a different color. So I'm going to use light cherry cobbler. So for this guy, I'm going to make him like cherry cobbler and crumb cake for his stripes. So I'm going to use pumpkin pie on his nose. So this is still the light. I'm going to do all my light. So the cherry cobbler is much richer, so I'm also trying not to go too crazy with it. And I'll leave the pom-pom, I think, white, so I will add some gray when I get out there. Because these are actually like smaller surfaces, I also didn't feel like I had to do each section and then shade it. I could do them all and then come back and shade them, because there's not huge areas to color. This stamp set, like I said, would also be, it's a great like teaching stamp set because of that reason. The area is not huge. So I'm going to add some dark. Okay, I'm going to do his nose with pumpkin pie. Well, I just give that like a couple seconds to dry before I go in with my soft sea foam. If you also didn't want to use pumpkin pie, you could use the petal pink and just build up the color a little bit. Or you could make his nose a different color completely if you wanted. I think I said I was going to do crumb cake. So we're going to do him crumb cake. His stripe. Because I think my other one is soft sea foam. So we'll do this one. Crumb cake. Cute. And then I will just add a little bit of the gray. Oh, we need to do that one, Chris. To shadow this little pom-pom just a little bit. And then, right, we've got our Rica Stella. Cute, cute. Okay, so I will pop our snowman up on dimensionals. Oh, sorry, he's a little low there. And our snowflake. And our sequins. There we go. Card number 3, version 1 and version 2. Okay, so these last 3 should go together a little bit quicker because, like I said, I did do the coloring. So the only thing I'll have to do is the tags in the background. So we have a Santa Claus, and he has a wide tree, and we have a tag, our label, and our snowflake. Our tag, and our tree, and our Santa. Our sentiment. Our snowflake. So there's card number 4. We're getting there, guys. Okay, so here's card number 5. So we have our tag and our tree and our snowflake and our label. Oh, and our snowman. So here's the other color combination, right? This is the soft sea foam and the real red. Our snowflake, and then of course our sequins. So there's card number 5, version 1 and version 2. And last one. So I just have to cut my dovetails in these 2 pieces that are hanging out the end of the tag here. And I did like a little bit of a wider one for this tag. Just a minute, I'm just going to get a glass of water. Okay, sorry about that. I had to get a glass of water. Now I feel much better. Okay, so here we go. Final stages. So now we need a tag. We can find, oh no, our snowflake, and then we can close it up. We will stamp our label. And we have our little elf. Okay. Oh, there it is. Just gonna wipe this because give it a second to dry because we are actually gonna, I'll bring back in all the cards side by side. And I'll take a picture of the second grouping of cards and I'll add them in the Google Drive. So for this one, I kind of just tucked these pieces underneath and then I put the snowflake on top to cover up the hole. If you wanted to, you could just put this piece on top like this, right? Just make sure they're even. As an alternate. We need our snowflake and our last tree. So see, I kind of just placed the snowflake like that, and you can't even see that that hole is there. And I actually don't even know if anybody else would notice, to be super honest with you. Here's our tree. Our sentiment. Okay, and there is 1 and 2 of card number 6. So I'm going to actually bring them all over again quickly. Okay, guys, so that's what I got for you today. I'm just going to walk back through a few things quickly. So the file for this one, like the inspiration sheet, is multiple pages long. You can print them front to back, right? Don't forget. So the front page is just basically the supply list and then the link to the Google Drive. There is no Cricut file because there's a cutting guide, right? So then there's the 2 sheets with the cards, with the photographs, and the recipe basically to put them together, and then the cutting guide. And then, like I said, because I knew that currently when I filmed this class, the Traditions of Christmas was unavailable. I'm assuming most people, if they wanted it, got it. I decided to do the second version, right, that features the... I loved this pack. I have very little of it left, but the Christmas tags and more, 6x6, right? So it's got like punch out sheets and then the papers, and there's fun papers in here. And like I said, because my other class this month also features that paper pack, that's why I picked that one as my second one. versus pulling in like a completely different pack of paper. And I think they have like a slightly different look. Like they are similar, obviously, but they do look a little bit different. So this is our first set here. And then here's the last three. And I did also do, as I said in the beginning when I was talking about how I very intentionally designed this one, I also did do 3 portrait and 3 landscape on purpose also, so that it was kind of evenly balanced. So this class will be housed in the 4-Sheet Wonder, but also in the Card Workshop album. You can always find everything in the album, right, that it belongs to, like by kind of project. The inspiration sheets will be linked in the file section, and then everything all together is in the Google Drive. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this version of the 4-Sheet Wonder. We'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Add them into the comments below, and I will come back and get to you as soon as possible. Have a great day.